And we're here with Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura, who now has a 5-point lead going into day 2 of the Champions Showdown. Let's first talk about why you decided to play Veselin Topalov, why you selected him for your opponent.
Yeah, I mean, there were obviously many choices, but I was looking for someone who plays a little bit differently, someone who's a little bit sharp, because I feel like these days most of the people, even if you see here, for example, you'll see most people are playing Berlins, a lot of e4, e5, so I was kind of hoping I'd get to play some Najdorfs, play some sharper openings. I'm sure tomorrow with Black I'll play something a little bit different, something sharper as well. So I just felt that, it's really Veselin's strength, and it's something that I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm not good at it, but I haven't really been playing a lot of sharp tactical games in the last couple of years, so I felt like it made sense to play against someone where that is their big strength.
And this event's meant to be a little bit more fun, and I guess playing against Veselin is a little bit more fun because of the positions you get into. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's always nice not playing the Berlin every game. And I mean, even here, I think if I had, so let's just say I had thought that it would be more beneficial to play someone else, it very easily could have been, a bunch of Berlins. But again, I felt like, you should try and play something more interesting. I mean, I'm going to obviously play a bunch of these guys in London and future Grand Chess Tour events, hopefully. So it just, I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to just play the same things that you're going to have there. And I think, it's more interesting, and certainly I think they're going to be more decisive games as well. So that's good.
And speaking of more interesting, in round 4 today, you allowed the Frankenstein Dracula. Did you have something special planned if he'd played knight takes e4 on move 3?
No, I mean, Black's just losing, so Black's just losing there. I think computers have proven that now, so I was kind of hoping he would do something like that, but I wasn't really expecting it. And obviously, what Veselin did was completely fine too. The position was very equal. I don't know, maybe I was slightly worse. It felt like maybe it's something better than what he did, but still, it was pretty balanced. And then he just he went for this activity without realizing that actually, instead of drawing right away, it actually gave me very serious winning chances.
And the lack of increment has already shown itself to be quite important today. Do you feel like you benefit more from the lack of increment than all the other players, considering you're probably going to be ahead on the clock in the endgame?
I mean, if I'm ahead on the clock, yes, that's true. But I mean, I think if you look at the first 4 games, actually I was not ahead on the clock. Okay, this last one I obviously was because I had an extra pawn and Veselin had to use a lot of time. But if you look at the first 3 games, I don't think I was that far ahead on the clock. So it didn't make that big of a difference as far as our match. I mean, I think really the moral of the story is just make sure you get to a position where it's clear before you both have like 15 seconds. Like it's like, you're pressing for the win or it's a clear draw. I mean, you basically want one of those two as opposed to something where it's like that in between where you're like very marginally better, or maybe it's a book draw, because then it's a bit messy.
And one of the players, I won't say who, asked Tony Rich before the event began, what is the protocol if we get into some sort of, rook and pawn against rook and pawn ending and I've got an advantage, am I allowed to push it? And Tony basically said it's a morality question. So what would you do in a situation like that if you had the advantage on time?
I mean, if it's like the last game of the match or something, then obviously I would try to win. But I mean, I think there's a big difference between online chess and over-the-board chess. I mean, online, I think I've won probably a million games flagging opponents in those sorts of positions. But certainly in an event like this, I mean, I think obviously making a draw is the right thing. But if it was the last game and it's going to decide the match, then probably I would try to flag my opponent.
And final question, the news just broke this morning that the FIDE Rapid and Blitz Championships will be in Saudi Arabia in December. I know you've got some views on that. What are your thoughts on the location being chosen?
Well, I mean, I think it's very disappointing, to say the least. I mean, first and foremost, you have players from certain countries who won't be able to go there and compete. And I think, above and beyond personal views, I think that any event that's called a World Championship should be open. And in an open field like that, anyone should be able to participate. And the fact that certain people will not be able to, I think means that it really shouldn't be called a World Championship, frankly.
Fair enough. Well, you've got one more day of Rapid and then 2 more days of Blitz. We look forward to seeing you play some more chess.
Thank you.